Jesus Louises, it's Tuesday night and the Gym Crashers are here to stay. I am Adam Woods, better known as According to Woods, but I would be remiss not to mention my co-host, the great Dondo. What's up, brother?
Oh, I couldn't even bring in the show like that. I'm just not that colorful.
Oh,
I'm tan, but man, does he have a tan or what?
wow.
Chocolate man.
There you go.
The Fijian Freak Show.
We've got a special guest, gentleman who, if you're in the Southern California MMA sphere, this guy's important to you. He's important to us. He is one Carlos Ramirez. How are you, guy?
I'm good. Thank you for having me guys here tonight.
Good to have Carlos in the house.
Yeah, man. What don't you do, Carlos? Like Inspector for Camo, running shows, kind of have the ear of the who's who of MMA. Like, what don't you do, brother?
I try to do everything I can, brother. Especially MMA. It's my passion. I've been doing it for a lot of years now. I've made some great relationships. As to you guys. And it's just something I love, man. It's a passion. If they didn't pay me for it, I'd still do it.
Dang. Wow. Apparently, you've heard our business plan if you're not getting paid.
There's no business plan. We just plan to try to stay in
working for
business.
chili cheese fries.
There you go.
There you go.
I'm not allowed to eat chili cheese fries in this place, so there'd be no doors or windows.
No. Uh-oh.
Be a lot of fog. Robert, they can't hear you, but yes,
Oh,
we're
no.
speaking on your behalf. However, we have Carlos Ramirez in the house, and Carlos is the matchmaker for
Dondo's
CXF.
not allowed to drink water.
Well,
at the Gym
I
Crashers,
drink
so.
water, but that's the only thing that doesn't make me blow air.
There you go.
But yes, I want to know more about what you do currently, and then maybe we can work our way back. So, matchmaker extraordinaire, putting on the fights up in Burbank, North Hollywood, Van Nuys. What is it?
Studio
Sportsman's
City,
Lodge,
yeah.
Studio
At the
City,
Sportsman Lodge or
right?
at the Burbank Marriott.
right? We're
Yeah.
loving that stuff, dude. It's
Down
amazing.
Hollywood, the Florentine Gardens.
That's right. We just did
Gardens.
Florentine Gardens.
Yeah, so right now, basically what I'm doing is I'm matchmaking for CXF.
Great organization.
I've been working with CXF with George.
George Basmajian.
For about 6 years now. I've been his matchmaker maybe for the last, we're going on 3 years.
That means you're good at what you do, because George will kick your ass right out if you're not.
And
good
George
at
will
what
let you
do.
know if you're fucking up. I'm just saying.
Oh, he'll cut you.
Yeah.
Cut you right off.
But right before that, I bounced back from several organizations, Samurai MMA being one of them.
Yeah.
We used to hold that at Culver City at the Veterans Coliseum over
Yep.
there. And then before that, where I started off, which was almost about 10 years ago, was with a little company called Respect in the Cage.
Respect in the cage. I remember the T-shirts. And
Yeah.
check
And,
out that hat.
And it was a company that was started by my brother, John Pena.
Uh-huh.
And we started doing shows. Our first show was in Pico Rivera about 10 years ago. And we did it for 3 years consecutively.
Where was it at in Pico? Was that swap meet or something? Where'd you guys do that stuff?
It was at the Sports Arena.
Sports Arena.
Yeah, it was a big old 5,000 seater.
Yep.
We did our first show there.
That's a big one, dude. 5,000 seater. Come on.
It's huge, and we did it on a Sunday too. So
right after church.
right after church.
Right after Menudo hangovers.
So yeah, we did most of our shows. 99% of them was at the Fox Theater in Pomona. We did one show at the Palladium. That's the famous show where Lorenz Larkin powerbombed Joe Assis.
Yeah.
Which I thought he had killed him.
Oof.
I don't think I've held my breath that long ever. I was waiting for him to get up. But, luckily he was fine. But other than that, we did it at the Fox Theater we ran about close to 30 shows.
Wow.
Yeah, we would do it every other month. And just quick shout out, Jaime Vasquez, one of my closest friends. He's like a brother to
Bump
me.
this over just a little bit. That way they can pick up your voice.
Yeah, Jaime Vasquez, the guy that taught me how to matchmake. When we started Respecting the Cage, it was more like, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? And I wanted to work with talent. So I got to run the back. I learned from Jaime how to matchmake, how to do contracts and all that stuff. So I owe a lot of the things that I'm doing now, I owe it to that guy.
Right on.
Great
Shout
guy.
out. Shout out to Jaime.
Yeah, big Jaime.
Yeah,
Right?
man. So, what got you involved? Obviously, there are quicker and easier ways to make bucks rather than here in this great sport of MMA. So, was there a particular fight card that were like, man, I want to get into that?
I take it back to UFC 1. I've always been a boxing fan. Boxing ran through my family. My uncles boxed the early years over there at the Forum. So I've always been into combat sports, but when I saw Hoist Gracie, That was something I've never seen before, and I was hooked.
November 11th, 1993.
Yeah. And it was one of those things that got me hooked. I knew one day, some way, somehow, either I was going to attend an event, be part of an event, and luckily, like I said, my brother got the itch to start his own MMA company, and from there, it's been the last 10 years. It's been a great ride.
Dang. So, what has kind of been the craziest thing that you've seen? I mean, obviously, you alluded to the Lorenz Larkin fight, but was there something crazier that you saw?
I mean, I've seen guys. I mean, our first event, there was this guy, Danny Abadi. I think he was on one of the Ultimate Fighters, one of the first ones, and he was fighting Shoney Carter. And Shoney's he's a character.
Yeah, man.
He's a character, and it was our first event, and we were hanging around backstage, and we were doing everything. I was catering, producing. I mean, I was doing everything, and he was in the main event. And the craziest thing I saw was my first knockout live, and he knocked the hell out of this guy. I mean, to the point where he landed facing us, and his eyes just went blank. So it was one of those moments we didn't know what to do. So that was probably one of the craziest moments. But Lorenz takes the pie, man. I mean, he telegraphed that. He telegraphed that, and he almost did away with Joe.
Yeah, no, we all know about that story. So that's an incredible one to be there to witness Joao Cease and Lorenz Larkin.
And help put it together,
right?
No doubt.
Yeah,
he had a hand in that. That's amazing.
Yeah, we've people always talk about when other promotions, they do events, and they always talk about the guy's background or his record or former this or former that. I personally think that Respect in the Cage kind of opened the doors for a lot of the guys. Yeah. There are in the UFC now, a lot of top 10 guys.
A lot of up-and-coming LA fighters for sure.
Yeah, people like I was mentioning, Christos Giagos, Benil Darush, Pedro Munoz, Lorenz Larkin, Jason Gonzalez, even, and I forget this, Carla Esparza. She made her debut at Respect in the Cage.
Wow.
Little known fact. Nobody knows that.
I didn't realize that either.
Yeah, Carla Esparza made her.
Monster.
Yeah, she did her debut with us. And, and probably the biggest guy we ever came across was Brian Ortega.
Wow, damn.
That's a very exciting fighter. I would say up and coming, but man, he's already up there.
That guy had something glowing when I met him. I think he was just right out of high school, and they introduced me to him at one of those smokers.
Sure.
Wow. Back in the days.
I love smokers, man. And those are the best.
Some guy came to me. He's like, dude, you got to meet this kid. I'm like, why? He's like, you just got to meet him. As soon as I went over there, he was surrounded by like 20, 30 people. They just wanted to be around him.
Sure.
And
still that way. It's about 300 now.
Right. And I got to meet him. I sat down with him. We talked. And I kind of convinced him, go away from this regional reservation promotion where they just threw people in from the audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And grabbed them and put them on the show with us.
I love it. Now, we got Robert Samo.
For you.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to matchmaking, how do you evaluate the fighters when you put them up against each other? Because sometimes the fighters will hear, this is an easy fight, or this is the fight that's going to make you go to the next level. And when you put the show together, you got to make sure that the fighters are comparable to each other and that the fans are going to be pleased. So how long does it take you to sit there and evaluate which fighters are going to go on what card?
The way I go about it, and everybody's different, the way I go about it is I sit down with George and we start shooting names, who's the people available. So it's kind of like we just put people up in the wall and we start thinking like, this guy had a good fight last time, but this guy had a kind of boring, styles clash type of situation. I like exciting fights. I like fights where people are going to get their money's worth. And we've put some great fights at CX. Probably one of the greatest fights ever put together. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, Richard Leroy, Jalen Turner. Damn.
To me,
my favorite fight ever.
I've been watching MMA since the inception. To me, that is the greatest fight I've ever seen, either live or on TV.
Sure.
You had to be there to witness that excitement.
We were all there.
It was one of those crazy things. And my thing is like this, and I say, and Adam knows me. Mm-hmm. I don't hold back.
No.
And I don't come at me if I offer you a fight. Tell me that's not a good fight for me. Don't give me that old Hulk Hogan, this doesn't work for me, brother,
yeah, brother.
type of situation. This is what I got for you. you either want to make it to the next level or you want to stay where you're at. For me, I'm fine because you're still going to sell tickets for me.
Yeah.
You're still going to put asses in the seats, but don't give me this fight doesn't work for me. Let's give you a fight where you're going to be tested. If you're not tested, guess what? Shelby ain't going to look at you. Nobody's going to look at you. Yeah, you could go fight at these big cards in the undercard, but guess what? CXF pays more. And we do pay more. And I've seen the payouts in some of these events, and we pay guys almost 2-3 times more than some of these big name people.
No,
so
that's fact.
That's the way we do it. That's the way we do it. And George is another one too. George doesn't take shit from anybody. He's all like, look, you want to fight for us? Cool. We're gonna put you on. We're gonna put you on. We have Class A production. We don't do these half-ass shows. So if you want to get your name out there, get your name out there. But don't give me this fight doesn't work for me. So that's the way I go about it. And it's worked, obviously. I mean, like I say, I don't like to pat myself in the back, but my resume speaks for itself.
No, obviously, man. And going back to that again, Jalen Turner, Richard Leroy. It's so. I mean, those guys almost a la like Mexican lucha libre. You know, where they throw pesos in the ring. Like those guys, even though they have long careers ahead of them, I mean, they should have made as much money for that fight for them to never have to work again, never have to fight again. That was so good. And I mean, I happen to be situated. I had just met a couple of people from Richard Leroy's kind of family and whatever. I think one of his like aunts or cousins or whatever.
His dad was
when
there.
he got dropped.
His dad was there.
Yeah.
rooting
Oh
for
yeah,
him, man.
absolutely. But there was a sea of orange. That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
his
yeah.
fight shirt, and I remember Jalen dropping him, and she literally grabbed my arm, and I was like, "Whoa, okay." And then to kind of show the dais, man. I mean, we had Marcos Bonilla, Terrion Flashware, Ghost Pepper, Eric Gonzalez,
Dominic Clark.
and then
Esteban
and then Shayna Baszler and Josh Barnett, all of them,
Yep.
all of them
In the house.
were not just on their feet, but on their chairs because it was the Burbank Marriott and it was just this obscure view, and you just see people like literally on their chair, like it was almost a bit of a revelation. And I mean, even I happened to be just walking right around the cage as Mike Beltran, who's the referee for it, and we all kind of know Mike. We love Mike, but he was like, "Brother, like I didn't know that was almost so cathartic, you know." And again, in my mind, greatest fight ever.
Hands down, before that third round happened, every time that bell rang, people were on their feet.
Yeah,
People
cheering.
would not sit
Yeah.
down until that bell started again. And every hit, every kick, anytime anybody went down, I mean, the place went bananas. I talked to Mike right after because I had to go to the back because I wanted to make sure they were both good because it was a war.
War, yeah, absolutely.
And I wanted to make sure these guys were good. They didn't need an ambulance or whatever the case may be. But Mike was all like, I don't know how I got past that.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? He's all, dude, that's probably the greatest cardio I've ever got in
Yeah.
my life. He's all like, but to Mike's credit, he did a hell of a job.
Oh, for
because
sure.
a lot of guys, and they get criticized, they would have stopped that fight early.
Yes, absolutely.
That's that Marine training right there. You know,
There it
Mike
is.
Beltran, U.S. veteran. We love him, and you know he knows what he's doing in that cage.
That's
He's
a
one of
fact.
our favorite
And-
referees out there.
And he's
Keep
from
the
East
push for
LA,
it.
so
Yeah. That guy's seen some wars one way or another, my man. Jeez. But yeah, I mean, that, to me, greatest fight. And again, that's CXF 8. If you guys want to check that out on Fight TV, on the Fight app, it is the greatest. I mean, you can thank us later because that is the greatest fight I've ever seen.
And we're coming up off CXF at Florentine Gardens at the end of the year. Now we got CXF coming up in March.
March 9th
Right.
at the Sportsman Lodge.
Sportsman's Lodge, a great venue.
And we just added Fernando Gonzalez to the card.
Ooh.
So Fernando's going to be on that card.
Damn.
Dominic Clark's on that card. It's stacked.
Yeah. And,
I'm excited for this card. I wish we had a larger venue because I know these guys are going to sell that place out.
yeah. Now,
It's going to be a fun one.
Dominic Clark, is that a title defense for him?
Yes, it is.
Okay, wow, that's
yeah.
crazy. Shout out to Dominic and the rest of the guys at CMMA, led by the incomparable Chad George. So
We just saw Dominic get that belt.
yeah,
So we caught the interview. You can catch that on YouTube because Robert put that out. So it's awesome that CMMA boys are coming up.
Yeah, for sure,
Right?
for sure.
Yes, sir.
Now, is CXF looking to expand across the state of California, say maybe host a show at Pachanga down in Riverside County, or is it going to stay local to the Valley?
We've been in talks with people. I'd rather not say because I don't want to jinx it. But we've been in talks with. We were streamed on CBS for a couple shows, but we've been in talks with some people you guys might know in the sports world. So hopefully, if that comes to fruition, we might get a TV deal soon. So that's what we're aiming for.
That would be great.
Yeah.
With the caliber of fighters and the matchups that you make, I can see that kind of happening because the sport's growing. People want to see interesting and new faces, and you're breeding them for the next, big show anyway. So why not bring this up to the forefront so people can see where they're coming from L.A.,
Yeah, and
San Diego, Riverside, right, Orange County,
and Southern Cali for the last
Right.
I want to say 8 years has become the breeding ground for a lot of the guys up there
Yep.
right now.
Yeah.
So we're producing a lot of people out of LA. A lot of the top
Right.
schools are from here. So it's an exciting sport to be in, especially from Southern California.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember, growing up in Inglewood, the only thing that we had MMA based was literally, the one that I could remember was like a Greasy Baja in Manhattan Beach. But again, Inglewood to Manhattan Beach, that was,
a drive.
that was a bit of a drive. And of course, we had karate dojos, but they were almost a la Rex Kwon Do, where like,
Sure.
there was even a gentleman who. Don't want to name names, but his caveat was the fact that he was in the UFC and had pictures adorned all over the dojo that how he had been in the UFC. Well, that person may have also had the distinction of scoring the first loss in the UFC, and literally it was the walk to the cage. All 20 photos was the walk to the cage. Yeah, so there's that. So,
I'm not going to take away anyone's shining moment. Just to get in that cage takes a lot of huevos.
yeah, no, for
A
sure,
lot.
for sure.
A lot.
And
But,
let's be honest, he's making a lot of money on Hawaii Five-0 right now.
There you go. So there's that. 10 points for him. So kudos there, man. But no, but now, to your point, Carlos, literally, there is the biggest concentration of MMA, Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai talent from like Santa Clarita to San Diego that the world has ever seen.
Well, the nucleus of this is the Gracies, and they came out of Torrance once they came to the U.S. For the most part, it was right there in a garage in Torrance. So from there, it expands, it grows. You see it on the street, you see it in the cage now, and there you have it. It's Southern California. We helped breed that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, what would you say in your matchmaking career thus far has been kind of what you hang your hand on? Now, I know you're not going to kind of lend yourself to this because obviously you're only as good as your last card, obviously.
Right.
But any cards or particular fights aside from the Turner Leroy fight that you're like, man, as a fan, even if I wasn't involved, I'd be a part of that.
I would have to say Richard Leroy, Gabriel Green. That was another fight.
Yeah,
that
There's a theme here, man. Richard Leroy's a badass.
Richard Leroy is a bad man. I think he's half cyborg.
Yeah, he is.
That fight with Gabriel Green, it was one of those things that I threw at George. I don't know if he was going to go for it.
Yeah.
Because, those guys, they're good friends.
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
good friends of ours.
Yeah, for sure.
But we needed that one fight that was going to take it to the other level. And I threw it at George, and I told him, what do you think? He's all like, well, the weight issue. I'm like, then let's make up a 65-pound belt. Let's do it. So George liked the idea. He gave me the blessing for it. We started talking. We made that fight. It was Richard's first L. But
Gabe Green is no slacker, man.
He's no slacker.
The boys at
Not
Sub
at all,
Fighter
man.
over in Seal Beach and Affliction, those guys are savage animals. Tracy Hess's camp is
shout out to
savage
Tracy
camp.
Hess. That's
Yeah,
my
for
boy
sure,
right there.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
that fight right there, it has to be him and the Jalen Turner fight. Those are probably the best fights we've put together in the
Yeah.
last couple of years.
Yeah.
Damn.
Richard Leroy and Gabe Green, if they fight anywhere, I want to see it. They put that on TV, I'll purchase it.
Yeah, no. And especially like with Gabe Green, his fight prior to that, with Combate,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a hell of a hell of a deal, and how loose he was in terms of like, not to say that he was ever timid, but I mean the CXF prior to that,
Right.
You could kind of tell that there was some uneasiness, whatever. But he really came into his own at La Jaula, and then again with that Leroy fight. Oh my gosh! I mean, it was a championship title caliber performance.
He has a great mentor with Tracy, and I've known Tracy maybe about 10 years professionally. But I saw him fight back in the days at King of the Cage.
Yeah.
But Tracy's one of those guys, man, that he demands respect. He doesn't, like I say, he's no nonsense type of dude, but he has a great heart.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
does.
as a matchmaker, I'll tell you this much: I've made a lot of friends, and I've pissed off a lot of people. And I can tell you, man, there's a lot of people that are my best friends now in MMA that at one point we were not talking. But it was one of those things where, what, let's keep it as is, let's move forward, and it'd be great later type of situation. But Tracy's one of those dudes, man, that no matter, that's the one dude that could call me up at 1 a.m. and I'll go back him up whatever he needs. Tracy's a good dude.
Hey, shout out to Tracy once again, because we did a gym crash there. So when we do the in-house gym crash live, we bring people like Carlos Ramirez to you. We actually go out and train at the facility. So we've been to Subfighter, Seal Beach, the Affliction facility, and trained with Tracy and his guys. Took the class, rolled with the guys, and filmed it. Did a whole Lucky Gee presentation as well.
Dang.
So, they're homies of the show. We love those guys. That whole crew, Gabe Green, Max, Tracy, all those guys are just
the
really
Gutierrez
cool.
brothers.
That's right.
Old school.
You know it.
And again, another shout out to Tracy, a matchmaker himself for Knockout Promotions down in Long Beach
Yeah.
at the Metroflex. So
It's happening.
I talk about no wonder you guys are such good friends. I mean, obviously there's levels, but I mean that other professional respect, being matchmakers both. You
Right.
know?
Right, and it's one of those things where he's doing his thing at Knockout and being an inspector for Camel.
Yeah.
I work some of his shows, and like I said, people that know we don't get paid much. We do it because we want to be involved and still stay in the grind. And for me, it just gives me another outlook and see the next rising star coming up.
It's good.
Or just just give some knowledge to these guys, kind of guide them along the way, not make some mistakes other people have done or whatever the case may be. But yeah, man, it's Tracy's a good dude. Antonio McKee, that's
right.
one of my boys. Is another dude that'll call me to Europe at 2 in the morning, just asking me to say what's up. Antonio's a character.
He's tremendous.
Man, I love that dude. That dude's
I
necessary in
love that
MMA.
dude.
Yeah. But man, it's those guys are doing their thing. We're doing our thing at CXF too with our D League, which is our amateur league, and we're just trying to get homegrown people. And we occasionally bring in these ex UFC guys or Bellator guys, but to us that's an attraction. People want to
Absolutely.
see these cats, kind of like Brock Lesnar's an attraction.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
He doesn't fight all the time. He's not at every Raw, but when they bring him, people come to see him.
Right.
So we do that because we know people want to see him. We have the ability to do that. We got good friendships either with their managers or their trainers or their coaches. And, it's kind of one-for-one type of situation when that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. We had Alistair Overeem at CXF at Florentine Gardens.
Yeah.
During Christmas time. I mean, it was kind of unreal. So he's right. They bring the alumni.
Yeah, Sean Merriman.
Yeah.
That guy loves us. He's always at our fights. Josh Barnett.
Yeah, Josh always. Yeah.
Another friend of mine. That dude's always either coaching or just hanging out with
Yeah,
us.
he brings his crew out. That's
yeah,
for sure.
it's kind of cool to have these guys out there supporting
Right?
us. Yeah.
Sadly, Josh never remembers me, and we've met like 15 times. And we have a bunch of mutual friends, and I was like, Josh, I know so-and-so and so. Yeah, So,
Don't feel bad. I'm still waiting for a reply on a text for 2 months ago.
Oh,
You know what?
Right on.
Josh is a metalhead, and I met him at Knotfest last year.
yeah,
And
but we're
he-
metalheads too.
I
and,
am, absolutely. That's why
and
I bring this
I didn't
up.
see him at Blackest of the Black when I was at that Danzig festival.
I was
man.
at San Manuel, and I was kicking it with Death Angel, who were my friends, and they brought me out. And he was there with Goat Whore, and he was carrying amplify. He was like road crew.
Yeah.
Can you imagine this Viking-looking fellow carrying full stacks at one time and just
Yeah.
bringing him up on stage upstairs? You know,
Jeez.
I'm carrying a mic. He's carrying a stack.
Wow.
That's how lazy I am. But yeah,
I think the scariest thing I ever seen was Josh Barnett and Mike Beltran in the pit.
What? Wait. Do tell.
What
Yeah,
show is this?
I forgot what
Slayer.
show it was. Yeah, but it was probably a
Slayer.
Slayer show. Yeah, him and Michael Bell. So,
Yeah, I know Beltron's a Slayer fan too.
Yeah, those dudes are crazy.
Jeez.
I do not want to run into those guys.
Yeah,
I
I
do.
saw Ashley Evans Smith at Blackest of the Black, and then Lana Starr from Wow Women of
Wow,
Wrestling.
yeah,
So
for
she's
sure.
a metalhead too.
Yeah.
She doesn't look it, but she's
Yeah.
total metal.
Well, it does help with the training facilities that we go to have some good punchy music, right?
You know what? It doesn't hurt to have some Bach and and some Strauss playing in the background
You
too.
might
for
not
the
be wrong
stretching.
for the learning ability too, right? It does something to the brain.
Oh yeah, it calms you down and
Right?
makes you focus more.
That makes sense.
So
Producer Robert's got something on deck for us.
Yeah, Lance Winter says, "Hey guys."
Lance, what's
Yo,
up, Lance?
what's up,
Is that the
brother?
Bully Zone dude?
Yep, Dondo Woods at it again is what he said, and
Dondo's
some-
Wood is at it again.
there you go. Shout out to Dondo's Wood.
And there's a guy. His name is Tim Webster. He says, "Who's the hot guy without a hat?"
Whoa, what's that? Thank you, Tim
Oh.
Webster. Why don't you send me your sister, Kim Webster?
Wow. Okay. Offer it to the god that is Dondo.
That's
apparently.
right.
There you go. Hide
Don't
your
say I
sister's
didn't
face.
ask.
Oof. Oh God, I'm gonna stay away from that one. Anyway, so
I'm just jealous of Dondo's hair.
Oh, skunk-like.
Yeah, I know.
I'm the Pepe Le Pew of MMA.
yeah, yes, you are.
Thank you very
Holy
much.
shit! Yes, you are.
You know it.
Good
I
job.
bring it, and I leave that stank wherever I go.
Wow.
Don't feed me
Damn.
chili fries.
Yeah.
Robert's
That would be
driven
me.
many
That would
miles
be
with
me,
me
yeah.
after chili fries.
There you go.
Robert leaves the window down.
So, we got through like the crazy kind of fights, right? You're kind of no holds barred in your dealings. So, any crazy stories from behind the scenes?
There's always crazy stories. I mean, there's not one event that something either doesn't go right. Like just when I was sitting down, somebody canceled on a fight. So that's the least of the worries. But there's been times where, there was a situation not too long ago where I had to pay for somebody's meds because I booked this fight. At I think it was 72 hours before the fight, the weigh-ins, I get a call from somebody from the state. They're like, this guy doesn't have this, and this. I'm like, well, I can't do that in 2 days. He's like, well, if it doesn't happen, then the guy can't fight. So as a matchmaker and being responsible for these guys and being responsible to put on a show that you already advertised,
Right.
I had to come out of pocket. I had to pay this guy's meds. I had to make his arrangements. I mean, to the point where he was
That's
cutting
heavy.
weight, but he had to do his blood work that morning.
That is heavy.
Wow.
It's a good thing you know people in TJ now.
Yeah. So I had to be on the phone with this cat. So he started cutting weight probably like at midnight.
Yeah.
In the morning, I couldn't get a hold of him. At this point, and George doesn't know this, and he'll probably know this now. George didn't know what was going on. George, he just told me to make sure he has all his stuff ready, but he didn't know that the day before, like I said, I gave him my credit card, paid for his meds.
Good man.
Made sure that he was at the doctor's. I called the doctors myself, Gluckman, everybody knows Gluckman. They did me a solid over there. And
That's amazing.
at the end of the day, by the time weigh-ins came in, I got an email with all his stuff. It's not the first time that it's ever happened, but it's the most recent one. And it was in the couple last CXS.
Did he finish the fight, or did he?
He lost. But, the guy's a good guy. And a lot of people that don't know this, they have other jobs.
Yeah, for sure.
MMA doesn't pay the bills for them at this
This
level.
is their passion.
Right,
This is their
absolutely.
passion, and they need to survive.
MMA
Right.
didn't even pay the bills for Stipe, who is the UFC heavyweight champion.
Right?
Point
Right?
taken.
Yeah. So these cats, they have to
That's so
work a
true.
full-time job. Some of these guys even go to school. And
have families.
And they have families to support. I mean,
Multiple families. Okay.
But
This is MMA, not the NFL.
You can afford it in the NFL.
it's just one of those things where you want to see the guy do good, and if there's means to help them out, then we kind of go out of our way.
Carlos is all heart, and he is the Mother Teresa of MMA. I love this guy. Really.
Wow, I like that. That needs to be a shirt, good sir.
Right? He's the
Yeah.
man. So you know what? He takes care of his fighters, and that alone is a testimony of the foundation that they have built CXF on, and that is why it is so successful. George Pasmagian, Carlos Ramirez, the whole team. And I love going, and I have the honor of them giving me a little space to do interviews and meet people and put some stuff out for them too. So I just love being a part of this.
And yeah, man, like the whole CXF team. Is
Yep.
just like-
Everybody from Gary to Arthur
Yeah.
to shout out to Steve Bash.
Dude, shout them all out, man. Those guys are all homies.
Steve Bash. I mean, everybody from Oscar, our DJ, to Chris, our ring announcer. I mean, it's a family for us.
Yeah.
The show doesn't happen if we're not all there. It has to be a collective unit.
And Jonathan King, right?
And
Doing
Jonathan
his thing.
King.
My
Shout-
homeboy, Jonathan King.
I better mention Jonathan before he gets pissed at me and
That's
starts
right.
texting me.
The Clinch Report.
The
Check
Clinch
it out.
Sniper.
Clinch report.
whatever.
That's his thing.
What's the-
That's
the
Jonathan
sniper
King's
guy,
thing.
The guy who does all the graphics down in San Diego.
Robert's
Oh,
bringing
yeah,
up vague
that's
references.
that's Tony Padilla's guy, Sniper.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tony and Spar Stars.
Shouts
We
out
love
to my
you
boy
guys.
Tony and
Yeah.
Mel.
Michael Gross.
Sas.
They're on their
Sas.
way to Mexicali.
Hey.
Sas Combate. Sas is right.
Don't ever get drunk with Tony.
Well, I'll do it.
Wait.
They think I am Tony every time I'm there, so it's all good.
There you
I
go.
get pats
Yeah.
on the belly and everything. Adam has seen this in the elevator. Like, dude, you put on a good show. I'm like, well, hey, send me your sister.
Jeez. So
Oh, man.
I'd be remiss not to, because you actually chimed in on one of our previous podcasts and talked about AEW.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? And how did you become a pro wrestling fan?
I've been a pro wrestling fan since, man, as far as I can remember. I think one of the first matches that I ever saw was Hogan against King Kong Bundy at the
Oh,
Sports
those
Arena.
are
Whoa.
old school. Look at this guy.
So
digging back deep.
yeah,
You're
I
not
mean,
that old.
that's WrestleMania 2, I remember.
Jesus.
My uncle, rest in peace, my uncle Louis, he used to take me everywhere. And one of the things that I never missed was WWF at the Sports Arena. I mean, we used to go early because they used to do the autograph signings right there by Kate's side.
Wow.
But, I mean, I've seen everybody from Taker to Warrior to Hogan, Ric Flair, Kurt Hennig, Rick Rude, Piper. I remember Piper back from the Forum days. I mean, back in the days.
like
Where-
Grand Olympic Auditorium. huh?
Yeah, where G. LaBelle's mom used to be the promoter.
Yeah,
Whoa.
Eileen Eaton.
Yeah, and Roddy Piper was a badass. Nobody knew what Piper was back then, but that was before the whole NWA WWE situation. But I mean, AEW, I think it's a great thing. I mean, I get excited because it takes you back to the WCW, WWE, Monday Night Wars type of situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, I could.
I don't know if
I'm
there's
a
an
huge.
earthquake happening, but I hear something.
The windows are rattling.
Something's
But yeah, no.
Robert's chili fries.
I've been a WWE. I mean, a wrestling fan in general for a while. I think AEW is good. I think Cody Rhodes, being the son of Dusty Rhodes,
Yeah.
legendary guy that
The American Dream. baby.
yeah, he choreographed a lot of things that people don't know. He was one of the famous wrestlers back in the days before the Hogan era. So he the guy had brains for the business.
And don't forget, Dusty Rhodes was former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, United States Champion. Goldust, his son Dustin Rhodes,
Dustin,
was
yeah, for sure.
United States Champion and
Yeah,
Intercontinental
absolutely. The
Champion.
natural.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
lineage is there, man, and you never know. Goldust might jump to AEW to help his little brother out. Keep it in the family.
He has a cush job at WWE from what I heard.
Yeah, but I mean, if you start something new, I mean, Billy Gunn, who is slated to be one of the backstage producers, the first that of name,
Right.
was at the Performance Center when it first opened. So I mean, there's some caveats there, man. But yeah, I mean, competition for anything is awesome, and you kind of alluded to it before in the sense that this could be the new WCW versus WWF. We're kind of seeing it to an extent in MMA with Bellator versus the UFC, where...
That was brought to my attention by none other than Robert Samo.
Oh, there you go. See? 10 points for Salmon.
Yes,
man.
as we nicknamed it a couple of years ago, BCW, Bellator Championship Wrestling.
There you go.
Since they're owned by Viacom, same way
Viacom, right.
World Championship Wrestling was owned by Warner Brothers.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Bellator. I mean, definitely they're number 2 in MMA.
Absolutely.
I think they have a lot of great young talent, but going back to AEW, I think they have a real shot of giving these guys competition because, to me, the WWE product has kind of like slowed down.
It's regressed.
It's
Definitely.
I don't get excited to watch that first segment every Monday night anymore.
Right,
That
absolutely.
first segment kind of sets you out for the rest of the 2-3 hours, whatever
Right.
the case would be. But I don't like this Helmsley regime.
No. Well, I mean, granted, I mean, if you watch the halftime Heat show, which is way better than the Maroon 5 show this past Sunday.
I'm not even going to comment.
Adam Levine.
I didn't
Hey,
watch it, so I have no idea. I
okay,
tuned out completely.
So with that being said, they had a six-man tag team of the brightest stars in NXT, and what essentially happened is, I mean, again, it was something that was better than what the NFL brought in 16 minutes. So, not to say that the talent isn't there; it's they're not being utilized. And again, I think there's with the Khans, the Tony and I forgot the father's name, but the Khan family that owns the Jacksonville Jaguars,
Correct.
They have deep pockets. They have tremendously deep
yeah.
pockets.
That changes everything.
Right, absolutely. So they can offer contracts to guys and girls. I mean, they just signed Jungle Boy, who we found out was actually Luke Perry from 90210's son.
What?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Since he was 15.
No way.
Exactly, yeah, absolutely. So there's that.
We got a comment from producer Robert.
Yeah, Tim Webster says, John, you never told me what you think about Chris Rotolo's twins. John, I'm still at John Wayne Airport waiting for you to get here.
Wow.
All right, buddy. There's a place called the Landing Strip. That's what it's called. I'll meet you there.
Whoa. The landing strip or the Dorito chip?
Dorito chip is where to eat after the landing strip.
There you go, 10
Right?
points.
And they don't serve strip.
It's all in the formation.
They
I'm
don't
just
serve
saying.
strip steaks, if you know what I mean.
Serve cocktail wings.
They do.
Wow. You know what?
Hey.
I've tried to fight a wedgie for the last 25 years, and it
Keep it
hasn't
coming,
helped.
Tim Webster.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think with the idea of having the women main event WrestleMania?
I actually like it. Because if this, for everybody, I mean, for betting money, this is going to be Ronda's last hurrah. They're even doing so much as doing the 4 horsewomen of MMA against the 4 horsewomen
that
of
would be
pro wrestling.
sick.
Right? They're actually speeding it up into Elimination Chamber right before Mania. So, by all intents and purposes, this is Ronda's last match.
That should be War Games.
That-
Right?
that is-
Old school WCW,
WCW,
NWA, double
right,
cage,
absolutely.
You called it.
topped off War
I
Games
still
between
don't
the
know
two.
why they haven't done that. It's
They're-
been, what, 18
wait,
years?
They're doing it for NXT,
at
but
the
it needs to
NXT
be-
in LA.
Right, but they haven't done the main roster.
Right.
Main roster, yes, this is true.
Because it wasn't Vince's idea.
There you go.
But to answer your question about the women headlining WrestleMania, nobody's hotter than Becky Lynch right now.
No.
She's the new Stone Cold. You know, she's amazing. She's the best trash talker in the business right now, and she's the one that everyone's looking to.
I just think that hopefully they just let her keep riding that wave. And don't let these guys get too much involved in that storyline, and then just let her do her thing. you
Yeah,
know?
but I honestly, in total disclosure, I don't have any faith because I mean, I remember there was a time of post WrestleMania and the NXT guys or girls would get called up, and I'd be like, yeah. Now it's just like, they're gonna get screwed. Okay, Vince is gonna see him. He's too short. She's too fat. What? Nia Jax are pushing her? What? And Nikki Cross is still in NXT. Like again, it's not for us to an extent. And kudos to you for still watching it because I tapped out a long time ago. Even
Well,
the
don't
Google version.
forget who Nia's family lineage is
Oh
and
no,
who her
for
cousin
sure.
is.
And-
So.
But it's just kind of blatant to anybody that is an ardent fan why that is.
By far, for me, the best woman wrestler out there right now, and has been, is Charlotte Flair. There is nobody more athletic than that woman. The things that
I
she
will
does
challenge you
there-
on that one.
Go ahead.
And it's another 4 horsemen's lineage.
Baseball.
Tessa Blanchard.
Oh, okay.
I seen her at the All In
Yeah.
pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Right.
She's good. I haven't seen her much, so I can't really speak on her.
Joe Blanchard is her grandfather, Tully
Tully's her
Blanchard,
dad, right?
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
Magnum TA is her stepdad.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, because he married
Yeah.
Baby Doll.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
And
keep it in the
she's
family,
just
right?
all over it, man. And like, you watch her match on Impact against Taya Valkyrie.
Because
yeah.
she had a hell of a fight
Oh,
when at All In.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah,
was
she
a
did.
great
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, but her versus Taya Valkyrie, either at PCW Ultra or at Impact Wrestling, She's
good.
phenomenal.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I'm surprised they didn't sign her for that after Mae Young's classic.
Classic, yeah.
But she's blowing everybody out of the water right now.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think of Carrie Von Erich's daughter?
Lacey is. I've met Lacey a couple of times. She's always been nice to me.
Oh, she's awesome.
I think that if she was trained by her uncle Kevin,
Right.
and not somebody else, and she was trained in that Von Erich style,
Right.
that she would have gone a lot further than she did. But she's a mother now. I think
Yeah.
she's got 2 kids.
2 kids,
Yeah,
yeah,
she's
living
got
in
2
the valley.
kids.
And she's still
living
young.
out-
Yeah.
She's still young, but
She's
she's
very
doing
young.
the mom
I think
thing.
it's-
She's got her other career going on right now. So I'm happy for Lacey where she ended up. But if it was Uncle Kevin that had trained her, not my Uncle Kevin, her Uncle Kevin, clearly. But she would have been, better off in the Von Erich lineage.
Right, but I mean, to your point, let's look at Ross and what's the other, Ross and Marshall Von Erich, right? Those are Kevin's legitimate sons, and again, the Von Erich family in Texas, you could do no wrong. Those guys, some of the claims that the president is making right now.
Some stuff up on the screen right now you may
literally-
want to look at.
Literally, the Von Erichs could do. They could do no wrong. So with that being said, Ross and Marshall are trained by their dad and what have you, but they really haven't done anything. I don't know if it's like the Von Erich curse or whatever. They've done some stuff in Noah. They did a couple shots in TNA, but
But remember, they didn't have their weekly forum that Grandpa Fritz set up for everybody.
yeah, no, for sure.
World class is gone.
There it is.
USWA is gone.
Sport-
I mean, are they? Do they have lineage? Do they have talent? Absolutely. But Kevin's retired in Hawaii. What does he care about anything anymore, man? He's living the dream. Excuse me, of retirement.
Yeah, man.
I mean, he said the saddest thing ever on television was, up until yesterday. This is when Carrie died. Up until yesterday, I was a brother. Now I have no brothers.
Yeah.
That sucks.
So there is a part of that he's
sucks.
scared for his sons. Chris
Right.
is gone. Carrie's gone. David's
David.
gone. All of them are gone. So
And the way they went out.
right,
Yeah.
and don't forget the drug addiction and
Yeah.
and everything else. So there's a history of addiction in the family. You don't want the kids getting addicted to Somas. You don't want the kids getting addicted to Flexerol or any of the other painkillers out there. So there is that fear for
Right.
for his sons that way.
But
And even if they end up being just regional guys, it doesn't matter because they're still Von Erichs, and that name alone will draw money.
yeah,
That's for
absolutely.
sure.
I mean, they just did a show in Israel and sold that thing out. So there's that. But yeah, so actually, my favorite, it's kind of a dark horse, but just her. She is the only reason why I even watch this particular promotion, and I want to say it is Rosemary. Rosemary and Impact Wrestling, some of the best character work. I almost wish she would have been like with the Wyatt family. She would fit like a glove in that storyline. But the thing about it is, I don't have faith enough in Vince that if she were to be signed, that she would have been done right. So if I'm Tony Khan, I'm looking at Rosemary as a centerpiece of my women's promotion.
Absolutely, and I think that Vince kind of fumbled Bray.
Yeah.
I think Bray, when they gave him the title, they should have gave him a long run with that title.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that guy, I've been in the arena where he comes out. I've been to a few
Yeah,
WrestleManias in my life. When he comes out, because I was at the Dallas Cowboy at the stadium where they had
Oh,
the
wow.
WrestleMania. When that guy comes out, he captivates that crowd, man. Like nothing I've ever seen. I think the loudest cheers I've ever heard was probably like for Ultimate Warrior one time.
Right, back in the day.
But the way this guy comes out, he says nothing. The dude just walks out with his little lantern. I mean, the whole place just the music,
Yeah.
the way everybody lights up their phones. I think that guy, if you give him a run, I think that guy could draw a lot of money for these cats.
And he's another lineage wrestler.
Yeah, Rotunda.
Mike
Yeah.
Rotunda's kid, Barry Windham, Kendall Wyndham's nephew.
Nephew.
And then his
right?
grandpa is a
Blackjack
Blackjack
Mulligan.
Mulligan,
man.
hell
So
yeah.
third generation again, right
Yeah.
there, man.
Even the sister, I think, her right?
Mika.
She's in NXT or something like that.
Well, she was, and then I think she kind of fell out. But she has her own like YouTube cooking show where she does fitness, and obviously Bray's brother is Bo Dallas, so he's been criminally misused as well. So
Yeah, Bo and his sister look too much alike.
oof, yeah,
Yeah, I can't.
scary.
Yeah, that is scary.
yeah, it is, man. But So, I mean, what has kind of excited you, like, right now? Is there a particular storyline in the last couple of years that you're like, I can sink my teeth into this?
You know who I'm digging right now, and the first time I ever saw him was at All In, was Pentagon.
Yes.
That dude, wherever he's at, I'm checking that dude out.
Adam's one of those Inglewood
If-
gang signs once again.
Him,
If Lucha Underground comes back for season 5, we will go.
him and Kenny Omega, they tore down that house, man. And the way they did that swerve with Jericho, that was crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna throw my 2 cents. I think the next
You're not on microphone, but throw in your 2 cents.
the next big thing for me, I see the character actually blowing up WWE is EC3. He has the look, he has that money look, and I think he's gonna be the next John Cena. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
He's a money maker.
Yeah.
He is.
And
He's big, and he's like,
I'll throw this one at you guys. I think that the next guy that's gonna have a great singles run by himself is one of the Uso brothers. There's one brother that just looks bigger than the other one, almost like a la Rock-ish. He just has a little bit more character in him. I think if they just redo his character, whatever the case may be, I think that guy has the look and the talent to go further.
I'm going to shout out their younger brother, Sefa Fatu, who's doing incredible stuff in Future Stars of Wrestling in Vegas. I kind of had a run-in at Survivor Series with the Usos, so let's shift topics. But,
You know what? They have hijacked
they
this show
could
into a
team up.
wrestling show.
But they could
This is
team
a
up
first
Nia
ever.
with them and then just do the whole Islanders gimmick again.
yeah, that's
You
true.
know,
That's true.
bring in Tamina and then just do that because Rikishi's got at Nox Pro the Samoan Dynasty. They can do something similar over in WWE.
How bigger does Nia Jax look than Tamina? And Tamina's a
By like
big
a foot and a
girl,
half.
yeah.
man.
Tamina's a huge woman.
Yeah.
And Tamina makes her look like Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
It's almost like Brock Lesnar, Shane Carwin. Like Shane Carwin's a beast.
Yeah, he
but
is.
Brock Lesnar made him look like a lightweight. In that fight, it was just like the tale of two mountains right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what? Having this extensive background in wrestling, being a kid, growing up, watching all this, did this help you in your matchmaking career? Because you saw what it took to get a crowd going.
Yeah. Funny story. I've always liked the drama. My favorite part in a match is the entrance.
Okay.
Especially when they do like WrestleMania. I know they go all out. Every single guy has their own special entrance, the way they do it. So when we started doing Respect in the Cage, I try to find something for each fighter, whether it's turn the lights out or do call outs where, we already had somebody in the wings and we did a lot of stuff kind of like sports entertainment but there was always something. I mean, Brian Ortega's last fight with us, we got a band to walk them out to the cage.
Mariachi band?
It was a banda band. We couldn't get the mariachis. They were on stage next door.
They're more expensive.
Yeah, but we got a banda to walk them out to the cage.
That's
And
pretty
anybody that ever attended the Respect in the Cage in Pomona, that was a short walk. It was probably like less than 20 feet. But I brought Camilo Gonzalez. I don't even remember Camilo Gonzalez.
For sure.
From Millennia. He fought Pedro Munhoz for our title. And because they used to call him the Pitbull, people don't know, I breed pit bulls. I've been breeding pit bulls for 20 years. So we brought a big old pit bull to walk him down to the cage. Anything anything cinematic, anything we try to do like that because of the production and the WWE side, I'm always looking for stuff to do that at CXF or anywhere where I get to match make.
Well, Pride did that too. I mean, just the walkouts and Bellator's doing it and for those temple shows. So it's a big part of the entertainment aspect.
Yeah, and then I used to like the old Strikeforce, just the runway.
Yeah.
The way they used to do it, elevated. So
Step up.
funny thing is that I got to produce this show called Samurai MMA for like Verdun's people, and they gave us a budget. They're like, you guys, here you go, do whatever you guys do with production. And I actually got to do that long walk runway all the way to the cage. So yeah, it's to me it's all about the look, the entrance, and the fights, the cherry on top.
That's huge.
Damn.
Matchmaker extraordinaire, Carlos Ramirez.
So, just looking down the pipeline, where would you like to see yourself a year from now, whether it be CXF or otherwise?
Still with CXF. I ride with CXF till the wheels fall off.
I like that.
George's he's like a brother to me. Besides MMA, we have a great relationship. He's been with me through some tough times in my life. But I ride with CXF till the wheels fall off. Throughout my years, I freelance people. People want to start up MMA companies or whatever the case may be. And, I get permission first. And if I get the blessing from George, then I'm cool. But I'll never compromise anything else for CXF. I'm cool.
I like that. Loyal to the grave.
You got to, man, because,
That's my LA homie right here.
Yeah, I mean, talk about in 2015, I moved to Oregon, and I was up there in Portland.
And you went nuts.
And, oh, man.
Right?
Yeah, I had
Can't even find a good taco.
Oh, I had to come back, man. But George,
make them yourself.
George will fly me in for every CXF. So he will fly me in. He will lend me one of his cars. He'll put me up at a hotel. So, I mean, not too many regional companies will do that for their matchmaker.
That's a fact.
George scared me one time because I saw him smile.
George hardly ever smiles, man. George smiles, but he'll give you that 2-second smile. Then he goes back to just, what's up, bro?
He's a very focused guy.
There you go. So, where can people find out more about you, find you on social media, or where your next gig is at?
Right now, I mean, I'm on Instagram at OG Carlos Ramirez.
OG.
You can find me right there. I work with Camel as an inspector. I'm trying to work my way up to be a referee one day. That's my goal. Shout out to Beltran and Michael Bell and Frank Trigg.
That's right.
All those guys. All those guys are real cool with me. They're friends of mine. They always give me some tips here and there. My brother, he has a restaurant opening up real soon, so I got to do a little cheap plug.
out.
What's that?
A little cheap plug.
I'm going.
It's called El Jefe. It's a Mexican cantina bar and grill.
El Jefe.
And
I thought it was Chinese food.
And it's going to be in Pomona on the Mission Promenade on Gary and Mission Boulevard.
Right on.
So
We're there.
We got that coming up March 2nd, grand
March
opening.
2nd, we're there.
And shout out to my CXF family, George B, Steve Bash.
George Basmajian, thank you very much. So, yes, big shout out to CXF and the crew. Get on it.
And you guys, thank you guys for having me on.
Carlos Ramirez.
It's been a pleasure, man.
Hey,
So,
before anything, Fanboy Nation.
Yeah.
Robert Samo, the voice of God on this show.
Yeah.
You just hear it come out of nowhere from the clouds up above, unlike Joey the Bull, who shouts out with no microphone. But that's okay. Joey does his thing.
Ooh, kayfabe.
Fresh out of the Bunny Ranch out there in Pahrump.
Jeez. But this is the Gym Crashers. Thank you again for joining us on Tuesday nights. Thank you, Carlos, for sharing your stories. And we'll see you at the next CXF, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
guys.
For
Tuesdays,
Damo, I
8
am
p.m.
according to Woods. And at the top of the hour, the Royal Ramble.
Like us.
From the guys
Subscribe
at
to
the
us.
OCCW. So check them out. And we are the Gym Crashers, and we are
Out. And share that link.